A march in tribute to Nahel M is underway in Nanterre. More than 1,000 people have begun the march as a way to pay tribute to the late teenager. 17-year-old Nahel M was shot in the chest at point-blank range in the Paris suburb of Nanterre on Tuesday morning. Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin says 40,000 police officers will be deployed across France on Thursday night, including 5,000 in Paris, after 2 nights of violent riot. Meanwhile, President Emmanuel Macron has called for an emergency security meeting about the violence while condemning totally unjustifiable acts. The teenager's death has so far led to clashes and arson attacks in several Paris suburbs, with over 31 people arrested and 24 police officers injured. We have more in this report.
Unrest continued in France for a second night, even as security forces were deployed in their thousands to quell protests over the killing of a 17-year-old by police. French President Emmanuel Macron has described the situation as inexcusable, while also pleading for calm as justice takes its course. Anger over the killing spawned protests in multiple towns around Paris on Tuesday and Wednesday night, with Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin announcing that 150 arrests had been made across the country and that town halls, schools and police stations were set on fire or attacked. Approximately 2,000 riot police were called up in suburbs around Paris on Wednesday night, following the fatal point-blank range shooting on Tuesday morning of the teenager during a traffic check in the Paris suburb of Nanterre. Recall that the victim, identified as Nahel M from Nanterre, was pulled over by 2 police officers for breaking traffic rules while driving a yellow Mercedes on Tuesday morning. Police initially reported that an officer had shot at a teenager because he was driving his car at him, but this version of events was contradicted by a video circulating on social media.
To speak more on the shooting and protests in France is international affairs analyst Boye Akinyokon. He joins me via Zoom. Thank you for joining us on The World Now. Now, 2 nights of consistent protest in France following the killing of Nahel M. What do you make of the situation at the moment?
Hi, good morning, and thanks for having me. It's mixed. It's a pattern that's been happening in France for a while. Any little unrest in any part of France sparks protests for days. And that is an example of what we are seeing right now. It looks like the security forces are moving in, more policemen have been deployed, and hopefully this will be quelled in a matter of time.
And how do you assess the way this is being handled by the government?
Yes, government seems to be playing their part in this. The policeman in question is under investigation. I think they've set up a panel to look at the circumstances and everything surrounding the whole incident. They are deploying policemen to ensure that the protest does not spread beyond control, because as we have seen in France over the last couple of months and years, things like this spark up protests that spreads across the country. So they're trying everything they can to ensure that it doesn't go beyond what it is right now. So I think the government has responded well so far.
And this just goes to say that gun violence isn't peculiar to a particular country in the world. What do you say? Mr. Akinyokon, I'm saying that, this just speaks to the fact that gun violence isn't peculiar to a certain part of the world, isn't it?
You're right. It's not peculiar to any part of it's not particular to any country. I mean, it's the police against someone at any point in time. It depends on the circumstances, but it just shows that this can happen anywhere. We see it across the West, we see it across Africa, and we see it all over the world. So it's just a delicate balance that has to be struck between both sides.
And in this particular case in question, justice should be served and should be seen to have been served because, of course, Nahel's family, friends would definitely want to see justice done. What, in this case, would you say would be justice delivered?
I mean, I'm sure the family, the protestants would want a severe action to be taken, but it requires government having to take the right stance. It shouldn't just end at dismissal, because that seems to infuriate the public most of the time. So government needs to take a decisive action, maybe beyond just terminating or dismissing the police officer involved. Maybe some jail time or something like that will make the public feel safe and know that government is on their side. But that hasn't happened a lot in the past, so we're watching to see how this plays out.
And the French president is supposed to participate in the EU summit in Brussels. With this happening back home, we don't know how that would turn out eventually.
Yes, governments would want everything to continue to work as normal, but I mean, the president has addressed the French people about this, and I think the president is playing his part, but he won't want things to he won't want to ground things just because of this incident. Except if it goes out of hand, then I guess he will have to probably be back home to address his people again.
It's been great talking to you. International affairs analyst Boya Kinyokun, thank you for joining us on The World Now.
Thank you very much for having me.